Good evening and welcome to a Thursday night edition of the Buddy Martin Show. Yes, already the week is over for us, except for a couple of duties on Gator Bait. And you know what? I'm kind of tired. I'm sort of getting my brains beat out here with all these factoids and information people want from me all the time. And I'm thinking tonight it's going to be hard to get too serious. We had a lot of heavy, serious news around us lately, including the tragedy in Washington, D.C., and a plane crash. And a lot of issues like that going on in life. Some people under the weather, not feeling well, sick. And let's just have a light show tonight and let's just say let's have fun, okay? And I've got a really serious topic to get into tonight with all our people, and it's simply this: uh, I need to know what is going on in Milton with the Milton Quality Bakery. Am I the only person in Northwest Florida who doesn't know about this? I see a picture of Billy Napier there stopping in for donuts. I mean, I love donuts. I live in Northwest Florida. I got to find out who can tell me something about this Milton Quality Bakery in Milton, which apparently is world famous. Many people go there, and Billy was there to pick up his donuts. Now, that's investigative reporting. Oh, yeah, by the way, we'll talk about what's going on with this basketball team and big game coming up this weekend, and also some latest data points on the Florida Gator football team. How are things going for them? Well, not bad. Stay tuned. Coming up next, Ben Troop will be here. He'll join us tonight. It's fun to have Benny on, and we'll tell you all about what he's got in mind. So it's the Buddy Martin Show. Tell your friends and neighbors we're here. We're going to be here for an hour, so come join us. Make it fun. Let's talk about donuts.
Yes, it's time again for Buddy Martin. Call him up and tell him what you're thinking. But be kind because he's doing the best he can.
Better, stronger, faster.
Mama says that alligators are ornery because they got all them teeth but no toothbrush.
Hey, what if the voice calls while you're gone?
Take a message.
Bye.
You ready, champ?
I'm ready for this my whole life.
I'm incapable of small talk. But that's why you love me, right?
Kind of intimidating to be in the presence of so many great athletes.
Good evening and welcome to the program. I'm glad to join you tonight. Glad you could join me. We've got our Thursday night family, Orange and Blue Bloods, Ben Troop standing by in the Orange and Blue room. France Beards had a busy week. We're going to be talking to him about basketball and football. Coach Loren Meadows will be here to talk ball with us as usual. I want to know, I wish I could get the picture on my screen. I got this on my Facebook page the other day. It's a photo of Billy Napier in my part of the country up here in Northwest Florida. He's in a big bag of donuts, and he's in a place called Milton Quality Bakery, who I've never heard of. Apparently, it's world famous. Right down the road from me in Milton. Apparently, been around for a long time. I read a ton of reviews about it. How come I didn't know about this? Which brings the topic. What's your favorite donut place? Okay, everybody's got a special. And there's a place in Ocala called Tastios, whatever you know about. Anyway, so that's the light topic. And then we'll talk about why is it that the Florida Gators seem to be getting the short end of the stick all the time on those two deals. I talked about this on my on the tease for the show. I got this data point, and it's really interesting. This is not from a Gator homer or fan. It's from Josh Pate, who's a well-known neutral guy who reports all around the SEC. Florida plays 8 of the top 21 teams in the Sportsbook National Title Odds top teams in 2025. Conference realignment has created an inexcusable disparity in strength of schedule, says Josh Pate. He points out this is not fair. And you know what? I guess we can whine a little bit if we want to, but Why does it seem like always the Gators are getting the short end of the stick? We'll talk later about Marty Smith, his sit-down interview with Arch Manning, which I thought was outstanding. Let's go to the Orange and Blue Room and talk to the guy who probably knows all the great donut places in Savannah and anywhere around Georgia. And his day he's probably eating a donut or two. My good friend Ben Troop, who joins the program tonight from up in Georgia. What's up, Benny?
What's up, buddy? Hey, so buddy, listen, I don't know all the best donut spots. I do not know that, but favorite donut of all time, old-fashioned glaze. I like the old-fashioned glaze.
Old-fashioned glaze.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. All day long. Yes, sir.
I kind of like the ones that are chocolate fill and all that stuff.
Yeah, I can never really get into those. It's a place. Being from Swainsboro, Georgia.
Yeah.
But growing up my teenage years in Augusta, Georgia, it's when you headed from Swainsboro to Augusta. It's a place called Waynesboro, Georgia. Waynesboro.
Okay.
They had a place called they have a place called Pineland Bakery.
Mm-hmm.
Pineland Bakery probably has some of the best desserts ever. We've only gotten donuts there. And what you do is you go there, you get your it's in an all white box, like nothing, no logo on it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
That's always the best kind.
And you get you like $1, probably $1.25, $1.50 block of cheese. They cut you a little. The cheese is never the same size, by the way. You know how
really?
Like
cheese. I never heard that before.
Oh, buddy, let me tell you something. Listen to me. Listen now. People have their preference. This is my preference. A lot of people like hot donuts. Now, Krispy Kreme is always gonna reign supreme. I'm not a hot donut connoisseur. I'm the weird one. I don't know why, but this is how you want it. You take the donuts. I mean, obviously they lukewarm when you first get them. You eat about two, maybe three of them, and your stomach getting full because that dough is thick. It's that thick dough.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
But then it changed a little bit. When I was growing up, they would glaze the whole donut, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Now they only glaze the top. They don't glaze the bottom. But I get to my grandma's house. I'll put them in the refrigerator overnight. Wake up the next morning, and them donuts cold. Oh yes, I am a cold.
Whoa.
What?
Okay.
What? Love them cold. But yeah, I mean, I never could be the people that wanted like the jelly donut eaters. I can't do that.
No, you don't like those.
No, with the what is it? The German cream, whatever they call the cream was. I can't. But buddy, if there's a legendary donut spot near you, you need to go in there and just holler at them. Shout out to Mama Wingo. Never ever made it to her spot.
Yeah, we never did get to see her.
Never ever made it to her spot.
Yeah, we were. She had cupcakes. So her big thing was cupcakes.
Yeah, I'm a cupcake connoisseur. I'm a chocolate chip cookie connoisseur. Oh yeah. I mean, Toll House cookies are the best chocolate chip cookies to me ever. Toll House. You got the Great American Cookie Company. You got Mrs. Fields. Mrs. Fields is more of a West Coast thing. Mrs. Fields. But no. Donuts though, you can never go wrong. If you late to a meeting, got to go to a meeting, but come in there with some donuts. The whole meeting just shut because we used to have a rule when I was ESPN Radio with BJ and Kevin and Christian.
Yeah.
To this day, buddy, somebody would come in with donuts.
Yeah.
And this is how we ask for donuts. This is how guys ask for donuts. Nobody's in the room but you and the donuts. You open up the box. And you point at the donuts and you look around because ain't nobody there but you. You point, look around, and you listen. And as soon as you bite one, somebody walks out. You like this. Oh, like what am I supposed to do? We did. It was the funniest thing ever. And we had one rule: whoever brings donuts, man, if you eat the last donut, throw the box away. Just throw it away. Yeah. That's the least you can do, man. Like, come on, man. Show some common courtesy.
Yeah, it seems like there's always a lot of donuts around police stations, obviously.
Yeah.
I can't my stepson about it.
Somebody, who said it? Who said it? Wally Gator, Bavarian cream. Yeah, that's what they call.
Yeah. He said Wally Gator says best donuts ever. Thomas Donuts, Front Road Beach, Panama City. I still want to know about Milton. This Milton Quality Bakery that Billy.
Hold on. They ain't affiliated with they ain't affiliated with other Miltons now. They ain't affiliated with.
No, the city of Milton.
Okay.
City of Milton, and it's Billy. I guess he was on his way to the Senior Bowl. There's a picture of him. I wish I could put it up out front with the owner, and of course, people just, oh yeah, it's greatest donuts there. Everybody, everybody seems to know about it. So, and then, yeah, David Arnold says Melody Quality Bakery road trip. David Arnold says, yeah, David, you would know this is your part of the country up here. And in fact, Dan Bond's right about Krispy Kremes. They first came out, Krispy Kremes. I remember we've had the first time we had them at Augusta, the Masters. Oh my gosh, we must eat them out of the house at home.
Oh my God, we used to have a when I was in Florida, everybody used to say, okay, can you eat a dozen Krispy Kreme donuts? And now people think, oh, it's easy. It's not, because what we did was we said, no. You can't do the smash. You can't take all 12 of them and smash them and try to eat them. No, you got to eat one, to eat another one, to eat another. And you get about 6, 7. And all of a sudden, it's like they get real big. And then no water, no drinking, no water to help it get down. Derek Chambers, I was with Derek was there with me for about a couple of years. Derek Chambers was walking down the street one day with a dozen donuts. And I'm sitting there watching him. He eat number 1, number 2, number 3. He gets like number 7. He eat all 12 of them. And I said, this is what he told me. He said, don't tell nobody. Number 1, that's amazing. You just ate 12 Dunkin' Donuts in the heat? I said, your stomach going to be toe up later on. Don't be near me, man. Get away, But hey, donuts are a beautiful thing. Whoever invented donuts, may God bless you.
Yeah, it's a homeboy secret for everybody. And like I said, when I first started doing morning radio many years ago, myself and Brenden and a guy named Ken, we had a guy we would go on the air at 6 a.m. There ain't nothing open then. And we'd have a friend in there who would go out and get us a dozen Tastios or local donuts and bring them in. And I'm telling you, when you're hungry in the morning, those things go fast. Lots of people interested in this. Dan Yale Bass says cream donuts are the best. Schaefer Smith says, let's see what he said here.
Hold on, I heard about the voodoo. Voodoo donuts are not worth the hype. I've heard about voodoo donuts though.
Yeah. Let's see. He says Melton Baker's insane. Yeah, voodoo donuts, etc. Dan Bond. So anyway, all right. So enough of that stuff for the moment. But I just thought we'd lighten the moment. Mm-hmm. It's been a tough week for a lot of people. All the bad news coming down about the plane crash, whatever. Let's shift over to the subject of the day and this. And, I've been talking a little bit about Arch Manning the last couple of days. It occurred to me that if you talk about value, yes, everybody wants Arch Manning. He's everybody'd love to have him. And you probably pay $8 or $10 million for him today if you were going out and get him, if you could. But the fact is that you want to talk about value. What has he done in 2 years? He'll be a junior. He hasn't done anything. I know he will be great. But the fact remains is if you want to go dollar for donuts, look at what DJ Lagway has brought to Florida. He helped build the whole program up in Florida. And really, Arch has done nothing. Now, he's going to be a great player. And I did love the interview Marty Smith did with him today. It's the first time I've seen him on a major interview. You see any of that at all?
I haven't, but I will check it out. Marty Smith was one of the best. I mean, Marty, the fact that Marty Smith is a NASCAR guy and obviously made a beautiful, transition at the college football. And I was blessed enough to interview Marty one time on our show, and this is when his book came out. And Marty, people ask Marty the same thing, man. How tight are them jeans, man? Like, man, they tight. But I think the thing about an Arch Manning, I give him a lot of credit for this, buddy. When you think about the Manning family, you talk about Archie, you talk about Eli, you talk about Peyton. For him, obviously, everybody thought, was it going to be Ole Miss? Like my grandfather, my uncle. Is it going to be Tennessee? He said, no, I want my own legacy. Obviously, he wants his own legacy. And he understands that he's going to get way more hype than he should. He's going to get way more criticism than he should because of who he is and because of the last name. But I think he embraces it. I mean, the mere fact that he still chose the path of football with all this legacy and came to the SEC, which he didn't foresee, Texas going to the SEC, but it is there. Yours, say what you want, has meant a lot to Texas, taking them to back-to-back college football finals. I think the thing about Arch is, though, with everybody thinking that, hey, man, these big 5-star quarterbacks ain't going to sit. They ain't going to sit. Yes, they do sit. Because Arch Manning was a guy that people thought, oh, if he don't get to play his sophomore year, he's going to leave. No, I think he had a lot to do with Ewers deciding to move on to greener pastures. But he understands that now with what Texas done in year one, what Coach Sarkisian and that Texas team is going to bring back in 2025, expectations going to be through the roof for him. But he's an athletic Manning. That's what he is. I mean, I got drafted with Eli in 2004. Obviously, I played 4 years against Peyton, which that wasn't fun.
Yeah.
I think I mean, what they had the clock running like 21 miles an hour. I think like last year, something crazy.
He's a very good runner. He's a very good runner.
He is. I think for Arch Manning is finding a way to have my own identity at a school that, I mean, it's about. I mean, you talk about brands. Texas is one of the biggest brands. Definitely the biggest brand in the state of Texas, but one of the biggest brands in college football. And we're gonna get to see him firsthand. He's coming to the Swamp this year. DJ Lagway, Arch Manning. You got. I
didn't know a lot about him, so what I've read, and I was really glad to be able to see a sit down with him, and they played part of it on the Feinbaum show, Marty's interview. First of all, he's a great-looking kid. He's a really handsome young man. That's number one. Secondly, he's obviously everything you expect in a Manning, quality class guy. And some of the things he said I found interesting. For instance, he was asked, what's the most important lesson he learned so far at Texas? He said, when you're taking selfies with the fans, don't stop. Smile and keep walking. And I laughed at that because it was so much true with the time I spent with Terry Bradshaw walking through the streets of New York City. We always said, don't stop. Just keep signing and moving it the whole time. And the thing about it is he now is ready to make his debut. And they asked him why, Marty asked him, why did he choose Texas in the first place? And it's kind of like how I want to bring Texas back, is what he said. And he said if he defined his career so far, he says, this is what I like, Arch Manning said, well, I haven't played much. I guess it really hasn't started, but it's been fun. I've enjoyed it. I've learned a lot. I love my coaches, love my teammates. I'm ready to get rolling. He said the hardest part was you get a little taste of it, what it's like, and you love it, and you go back to not playing. He said that's pretty tough because he did play for a couple of games. So he was just, I just thought he was very elegant. I thought he had his feet on the ground, and he talked about his family. He said that one of the things he learned from Eli was the same whether you threw for 400 or 4 yards. He's always the same. He learned his detail-oriented from his uncle Peyton. But Eli was more direct. He said, I reached out to him about player coach stuff. And he says, and how you always want to be coachable. And sometimes it's good to get yelled at in front of everyone just to get the tone you're not favored. So that was some of the things he said. Interesting young man, going to be a great player. But I raised the question early, just for the heck of it, last night with Tony Barnard and the guys. What if somebody out in Oregon said, we want to get that guy. Let's pay him $15 million.
Well, I think that's I think that's what he has. What Arch Manning has is what, the only 3 people I can compare Arch Manning to, even though all 3 of them are gone, with Shiloh Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter. Because, their dad was the head coach, and obviously Travis Hunter going to trust everything Deion Sanders said. Arch Manning has leverage. Listen, Arch Manning is getting paid. He doesn't need the money. He'll take it, but money is not going to sway him.
He didn't do any NIL deals. He was wearing a Red Bull hat today, and that's the first deal he's done.
I mean, Arch Manning understood this. Arch Manning said, I wanted to be a part of a brand that's bigger than me. Well, Texas, check. I got that. I wanted to go somewhere to where I'm gonna be one of the guys until I become the guy. Check again. And I don't mind starting from scratch. Like I don't want, because he knows this. When he said, look, when Eli told him it's good to get yelled at in front of everybody so it shows that you're not the favorite, that is, because sometimes coaches use your best player to talk to the whole team. Sometimes a coach will because that's something I had to learn with Ron Zook. They'll overemphasize something to you because you're gonna handle it the right way. You're gonna be respectful. You're gonna have your body language. You're not gonna. And sometimes they using you to talk to the team. Because if I'm a Longhorn, I'm thinking, dang, he talking to Arch like that. But Arch understands. Look, my head coach has a job to do. He has a different level of scrutiny and pressure that he's under. He don't want to have Texas dip. We've gone to back-to-back college football playoff semifinals. Haven't got over the hump. Well, people go, who you got coming? Got Arch. So I think for a guy like Arch Manning, the reason why Marty will do it with Arch, because he'll say, look, I just want, just show your personality, which, I mean, the one thing about the Manning, say what you want about him. I mean, Cooper, I know he's Cooper's son, and I know that, the nephews of Eli and Peyton. The thing about it is those Mannings, man, they know how to work a camera, man. They understand when the lights are on, and so I think the thing for a guy like Arch is he is the next generation of Mannings, because that's what we really do, right, buddy? When we see Miles Graham, God, he looked just like his daddy, right? But he plays linebacker. Dang, that go VB3 coming in and floor. It's like if you are a Manning, is there more pressure? No. He like, listen, man, the pressure I feel is when I got to go, I finally get to sit at the grown folks table at Thanksgiving. I mean, because I've been, what I'm saying? So for me, that is the appeal. That is the, the magnet known as the SEC. Because I think Arch was going to go to an SEC school no matter what. But I think the thing with what you got to, hopefully I'll get to see in the interview is a guy that's embracing the moment, is a guy who understands, man, you can't hide in a place like Texas. If I didn't want spotlight, if I didn't want pressure, I would have chose somewhere else, which it ain't too many schools, because Georgia, you can't run. Florida, you can't run. LSU, you can't run. Tennessee, you can't run. Texas, you can't run. Alabama, you can't run. Those are the ones. Texas A&M is probably on that list as well, but I'm looking forward to seeing the young man play. Eli, played against Eli twice in college, lost to him both times. Obviously, we was in the same draft. I met him. I finally got to meet him at the Rookie Symposium out there in California. And, personality, it ain't going to be Eli. Like, Eli is not the personality. Peyton is the most famous Manning. Love his daddy. Peyton is the most famous Manning. Arch got a shot to be he got a shot to be the one because he's the social media one. He's the one that's getting social media, NIL. But here's the thing, though. He going to get so sick of people saying, man, you remind me of your grandfather, the way you threw that. Man, you remind me of your uncle when you did. Because, listen, I got a nephew. My nephew, Josh, he's class of 2025. He's a running back. And he's getting recruited. Kennesaw State, I think he's going to be a Kennesaw State Owl. I think that's where he's going to go play football at. And I got a chance to talk to him on the phone, and I'm just talking to him. I don't care. I don't care where he goes. I really, really don't. He was like, he said, what you think I should do? I said, what you want to do? He said, man, I don't know. I said, well, you're gonna have to make a decision, young man. National Signing Day is in a couple of weeks. It was like a couple of weeks ago. And I got interviewed by my nephew about him. He was playing in Brunswick, and they didn't know he was my nephew. They didn't know it was him. And BJ Bennett's mom goes up and says, that's Ben True's nephew out there playing. Right. And he goes, he's like, I ain't put two and two together. And right when he said that, my nephew broke one, took one about 60, gone. Somebody gonna say, True, he remind me of you. I said, no, I wasn't doing that. I'm not going to 60. That's not, but I'm just happy for my nephew because, I don't know what it's like to be my brother or my nephew, because I mean, I'm not no rah-rah dude, but he embraces it, man. He'll say, look, I don't mind people asking me about you, because he ain't taller than me, like 6 feet. He's a like you say, very, very handsome fella now. I mean, don't mind. The greatest thing ever happened to him was a mirror. That's the great thing. Love my nephew, but I'm just happy for him.
He loves the mirror too.
But no, I am looking forward to seeing Arch Manning because he look.
I don't know if you saw it or not. They played part of the Arch Manning interview today on Find Bob. Marty Smith. I was so impressed. I knew I would be, but I was so impressed. But I want to shift gears for a second because we got a lot of basketball to talk about. A team that's blowing up, great things happening, and fans, you've had some up close and personal conversations recently. I want to talk to you about your column today that you wrote. We're at the midway point of historical Southeastern Conference basketball season, and just weeks of the start of spring football. Yes, indeed, life is good in the SEC. He says both Joe Lunardi of ESPN and Jerry Palma of CBS have loaded up their basket brackets with SEC teams. Lunardi has a record 13, while Palma has 12. And he talks about wanting to be a hoot if they won the national championship in basketball this year. Football was not a national title. Basketball, here's your words. Basketball is an all-time high, Franz wrote today in Gator Bay. For those who think football is on the downslide, consider this. 171 blue-chip players signed with SEC schools, which is more than the Big Ten, 106, and ACC, 57 combined. The SEC signed 17 five-star players, more than the Big Ten, ACC, and Big 12 combined. All right, hold that word just for 1 second. I'm going to come right back to you. I'm going to tell folks about our fine sponsor, and Meldon Law. Been supporting this program for a long time, and we do appreciate it. Got a chance to talk to Jeffrey last couple of days. He's doing well. I know he's really proud about the fact his daughter now, as a lawyer, she's coming to work at the firm soon. She'll be there, another Meldon. So, like he says, when you call up, there's a good chance you're going to Meldon. I encourage you, by the way, if you have any legal needs, to call them. They have 4 locations to serve you now in Wilson, Ocala, Gainesville, Lake City, and they want to take care of your legal business. Meanwhile, they're supporting University of Florida in every way possible with sponsorships. They're giving away tickets like crazy, all kind of goodies. If you go to their Facebook page, Meldon Law, there's a good chance you'll find something to score, whether it's a ticket or a giveaway or something. Meldon Law, they won't back down. Francis Beard, good evening.
Good evening, Bud Light and Ben
Yes,
there in scenic Savannah, GA.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It snows in Georgia now, so I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, people saying things like, it snowed, and then people getting in wrecks. People saying stuff like, "Oh man, I thought we were supposed to be able to drive in the snow." I said, "You can't drive in good conditions. You think you're gonna be able to drive when it's?" I said, listen. They told us don't come out when with the ice or whatever. But here's the problem: how you gonna tow cars when the tow truck is getting it? The tow truck got the heel on the side of the road. I said it was rough, but
I had an MG in Savannah, and in the spring, I guess it was late February of 1973. We got about a foot of snow, unexpected. I mean, and trust me, the last thing you want to do is be driving an MG in snow
or in rain when you have no reverse gear.
Well, that was because
I know I was in the car.
I know. That was because of the red clay. I mean, Georgia red clay, and a torrential rain, and an MG are not good buddies.
Must have what happened to Georgia when they came to Gainesville to play basketball. Must have got stuck in the red clay. My goodness, they put a beat down on the Bulldogs, didn't they? Amazing. 30 points, and poor Mike White. I mean, he had to take it on the chin. This basketball team is starting to make a lot of noise now, friends. We've had a lot of conversations about it, Ben. I know you've been following it too. I think I think they're getting serious about them. Alabama, Auburn, and Florida being the top teams. And we don't know that I'm sure we haven't seen the best basketball played by Florida yet. But good news about Todd being able to get exonerated from his deal. And fans talk about all that and how that's affecting the basketball team. And they have a week off now, but they're poised and ready to strike.
Well, they needed this time of rest, and they're getting Tennessee coming on a couple of really tough losses. I mean, to lose to Auburn and then to lose to Kentucky, they've got to come out Saturday firing and making shots, because if they don't, we're liable to have another woodshed game like there was down in Gainesville with the Gators taking them over. It's going to be the most demanding game Florida's played this year, because the Gators, first and foremost, have the ability to defensively take that crowd out. And the Thompson Bowling crowd's one of the best in basketball, 20,000 seats, and they're really right on top of you there. It's a huge arena. It used to be 26,000, buddy, but they downsized it to include the sky boxes and everything like that. Well, goodness, I wish we had that kind of basketball support in Gainesville. But the thing you've got to be able to do with that crowd is you got to take them out of the game early on. And that's going to be the key for Florida, is to defensively take them out of the game and have send the doubts through these guys. They played Florida once before and couldn't throw it in the ocean from the end of the pier, and if you do that again, those as somebody whose only skill in basketball was a shooter, I could shoot. That was it. Couldn't play a lick of defense, which is why Coach Hatch kept me as one of his assistant coaches, sitting right there beside me.
You had a 2-inch vertical. I don't know why not.
Oh, buddy, you're giving me too much credit there. It was only 1.5 inches, but okay. On a good day, I could probably get over the Gainesville telephone book. I could probably. I like Ben Troop. Ben Troop could do this over the head, stuff. I could, goodness, I could have been it's like football. I could have been an All-America if I could have run the 100-yard dash 5 seconds faster.
That's great. Let me ask you this question, and this is what we're getting down to. This is a tough gauntlet for this team now coming up, and they haven't gotten a lot of breaks. But if you think about this basketball team, what's ahead of them in the next few days, it's make or break time in a way. The number 5 now, they'll face number 8 Tennessee in Knoxville, a host number 24 Vanderbilt, travel to the Plains to play against the number 1 Auburn Tigers.
Yeah,
finally wound up in Starkville, where, by the way, I watched that game last night, and Alabama was lucky to come out of there alive. They should have lost that game.
Oh, I can't believe there is
it's an open layup. It's an open layup.
All he's got to do is dunk he's by himself.
Yeah.
You're 6'10", in the immortal words of Guy Lewis, dunk the damn basketball.
Yeah. And then he missed it. They went back and took the game over. So anyway, this is what they're facing now. We're going to find out, Ben, exactly how good this team is, if they're Final Four good or they're elite good. What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I definitely think they're Final Four good, but I think the tournament – I think the thing about basketball and what Coach Golden is doing with his team is, number one, the SEC top to bottom. And this is taking nothing away from, the Big Ten and the ACC. These are some of the best teams in the country right there in your conference. I mean, obviously, Auburn is going to do this for a while. They got a nice foundation, right now. But then you start talking about Tennessee is always going to be dangerous. Kentucky is always going to have players. I like the fact that Florida was able to bounce back from that Missouri loss, because the thing about basketball, different than any other sport is, and it's a game of momentum. I mean, shooters gonna shoot, player, and I think the thing about Florida is now is teams that defend, which Florida does. Sometimes defending in basketball is like blocking in football. Sometimes it's just effort, man. You don't got to be the best at it, but when Coach Go to tell them, don't you know playing good defense helps you on the offensive end? Because the thing about Florida is, man, the one thing about it, yes, do we live and die by the three sometimes? Yeah. But I think that's college football as a whole. It's almost like, hey, man, we can't shoot 15-footers. But I think when Florida's getting up and down the floor, because Florida can score in bunches, and they don't listen, they got a good backcourt. I mean, they can beat you down low. They can defend. They can rebound. I think with Florida, it's going to be on them because when your best competition is coming from the same company, I knew the SEC basketball had caught ACC basketball, but I didn't see it being like this. I mean, these dudes are playing big time basketball. So yeah, are they Final Four good? Yes, but the tournament is tricky only because it's all about what region you in and who you got. Because one and done, you can't really tell. Like sometimes, do I think a blue blood gonna end up there in the end? Yeah, like when Joe Kim Noah and all of them was there.
Well, that's a good question. Well, who is a blue bloods? And I can tell you, you brought up this very question I was going to ask. I was asked the other day, friends, how can you compare this team to the 04s, 05 teams? What do you think? And who would you give the edge to? I said, well, first of all, you got to win it back-to-back first to be compared to those teams. But they remind me a lot of the 04s because they can rebound so well. This is a great rebounding team. And when they got the rebound, they can fast break. And when they're running down the court, and that's when they're the best. And they knock down when they're shooting the threes right, they can defend with the best of them. They're a really good defensive team. I don't know. I would have to give it to the 04s right now, Franz, but this team is coming, Franz.
Well, the 04s get the nod because they've done it, and these guys, they got to prove they can win big ball games. And this is what you get. It's not the best team that wins the NCAA every year. It's the team that gets a 6-0 record. And that sometimes means the team that got 6 consecutive favorable matchups. You can go like last year, the Gators without Hen Logton. Colorado was an horrendous matchup for the Gators in the first round. If they've got Micah, it's a different story. Florida wins that game by 20. But without Micah last year in there, they did not have that rim protection that they needed, and it cost them.
Well, they don't have Micah now, apparently today, announcing that he's not doing a reverse on that, and Todd saying he thinks he's going to sit out this year. So,
well, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that was news. He said he wouldn't be surprised if he sat out the year. All right, hold it right there for a second. I want to bring this guy in here down below. He's taking a swig of whiskey right now where he does that. And also, I want to here's the question before the backcourt for the group right now. I read a story today on what Cam Newton said. Jerry Jones has a scheme, get this, whereby he's going to get Nick Saban as his head coach. Have you heard about this?
No, I saw him. Did he say it on First Take today? I was on.
I don't know if it was on First Take or not, but I just read it. And it's kind of a crazy scheme and one in which it just makes for good conspiracies. And I can't see how you could possibly, not even Jerry Jones can possibly manipulate all that. That's a lot. He's going to tank it and wind up and get Arch Manning and get coached by Nick Saban. Now, I'll give it to somebody. Cam's got quite an imagination and all that, but that would be a coup. It's a great thing for talk radio and for the internet, but I'm not sure there's any truth to that. You guys heard that at all?
I've been hearing that somebody was gonna get Nick ever since he announced his retirement, and he actually even before that, the man owns 4 Mercedes dealerships. Tell me, money is not going to impress him. He's been to the pros before. He knows what it's all about. Didn't like that. Didn't like the way that college football was getting to be like the pros. So why would he go back to something he doesn't like? Would be my question.
And
Well, it's a
my
good
thing
question,
is,
but think
well,
about it. It wants to pay him $20 million to coach the Cowboys. I mean, every man's got his price at some point in time.
yeah,
Not about money, I'm sure, but I mean, look, it's crazy. All right, guys, hold on one second. I'm going to do this commercial. We'll come back and discuss that and talk about some things that are happening to the football team, how they're kind of getting stinky good in some of the ratings. First, I want to tell you about Titan MRI. They're one of our sponsors. They now have another name, and one you should be aware of because they now also are expanding in areas all northwest Florida. Titan MRI is now Titan MRI and Imaging. They acquired Highfield MRI. Joe Coloria started Highfield in 1997. Now he's back. Titan MRI and Imaging now has 3 locations to serve you, 2 in Gainesville, with this Park Avenue location now at the Millennium Center, and also one in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County, and one in Valdosta, Georgia. Titan MRI and Imaging offers the same great customer service. They accept insurance now, and you can also go through their convenient self-pay option if you like. Titan MRI and Imaging offers MRIs, CT scans, X-rays, and ultrasounds. Titan MRI Imaging, check them out. Locations to serve you now in 5 places. All right, guys, let's talk a little hardball, a little football here, and let me get back to my notes. I've been reading a few little things here and there about how I saw a thing the other day, friends, where somebody ranked the Florida's offensive line as the 5th most improved offensive line in college football since last year. Did you read that, friends?
I did not, but it didn't surprise me. I think they were the most improved offensive line in the country last year.
Yeah.
And all you got to, and if you don't believe that, then ask yourself, how is it that you lose your number 1 and your number 2 running backs in Montrell and Trayon Webb, and the 2 guys who come in and run for them are great backs, no question about it. But somebody got blocked for you, and the holes were there. You see too many times when a great running back goes down, and all of a sudden the line isn't blocking anybody, and so you're thinking to yourself, well, maybe that line's not so good. This line is that good. I know Loren and Austin Barber are buds, and he's coming back, and I think he's going to be a beast next year. And we already got the best center in the country. I like Najee Harris. I like the way he played in November. I wasn't sold. I thought he was a waste of space in September. I thought he got better in October. And I thought in November he decided it was time to be a football player, and he became a football player.
All right,
So
Loren, what's your response to that, Loren?
I mean, yeah, I think it's just a testament to guys like Austin Barber, Jake Slaughter, the leadership. We talked about the mantra that they had, the 5 equals 1, that they carried through the spring. And I think they just stayed the course. I mean, you had a lot of guys that believed in Coach Sale and what he was preaching and where they were going as an offense, and their ability to lean on people for the long term is where your running game comes from. And yeah, I mean, I think that they've had that mantra of 5 equals 1 the entire year, and I think that carried over to the success of guys like Jake Slaughter and Austin Barber playing well. And I agree with friends. I think Najee Harris gives them another stepping stone to build on. And like you said, I mean, you throw the stable of backs in there, I mean, there's no reason why they won't continue to improve. And I would say that puts them about where they should be in the top 5. I mean, you could probably rank them in a lot of different ways, but in the top 5 of improved offensive lines. And I will say this, I don't see a world in any football world, those of us that know how football works, that Nick Saban and Jerry Jones could coexist.
Yeah, well, that makes nice internet talk, whatever. But that's that's one of the rumors.
I don't know how Jerry Jones's wife coexists with Jerry.
Call
I mean, there's only so much oxygen in any room, and Jerry tends to believe that he's entitled to all of it.
Yeah, well, when you got a big house, that's when you go to the other.
Oh yeah, she's in the west wing. Yeah, she's way over there. She's a mile down the road in the same house. She's in the house though. She's somewhere.
What is according to the Cowboys' worth now? About $3 billion.
11 billion.
Oh, they worth way more than that.
11
more than $3 billion.
It's like 11 billion.
11 billion.
Wow. I say Jerry's done pretty good in that regard.
Yeah.
The smart, Pete the Rich just keep. I was shocked to hear that Adam Schefter read a story today. How much money do you think he was paid by ESPN?
Schefter?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 850,000.
All right. Anybody else want to try it? I was working in Denver with Shefty when he was at the Post. He was trying to get a job either at the network or the New York Times. I begged my friend at the New York Times to give him a shot at covering pro football, and he didn't give him the job. And he went to ESPN instead. Anybody else want to guess how much he's making?
I mean, now, I would hope. I mean, now, what, 3-4 mil easy, right? Now.
You said no, Loren?
No, I just said, woo.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Brand, how much you think he's making?
Probably in the neighborhood of 2 to 2.5.
$9 million.
Oh, heavens.
Oh man!
I feel like Euchre must be in the front row.
Well, the thing about a situation like Shefty is, Shefty with anybody. They told me anybody in media that was there pre-social media, right? As far as and now because social media is gonna make it so that when people say people don't negotiate through social media, oh yes they do, because that's that perception thing. You're pushing that stuff out, but Shefty. I mean, it's to the point now. People say, "Hey, man, did Shefty say it?" It's all because you got all kind of beat writers, which you respect them. But if Shefty said it, I mean, they say he got like 3 or 4 phones. I mean, airway.
I'm talking about days when I knew Adam back in the Denver Post 20 years ago.
Look.
He was a bright young guy. He was 20. He was 40 years old. And I loved his work, and I touted him all the time. And I literally begged my friend Neil Lamb to hire him as the as a beat writer for the New York Times, and he went with somebody else. And now today, Adam's making $9 million.
You remember what Ray Holloman offered me in the front seat? You were in the front seat of my the three of us in my MG. You remember what he offered me?
Exactly. I know what I offered him, but
$8.5 million.
Yeah.
I went for $160,000 a week, and I thought I was starting to ask, where am I going to spend all this money?
But hey, Shefty, no, hold on. I gotta comment on this. The whole Nick Saban. Let me tell you something about
let me read this thing clearly. Right. Let's get it down straight because it came off of Cam Newton. Here, this is a tweet. X, what do you call it? Cam Newton believes Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys have a master plan to draft Arch Manning and hire Nick Saban. I think they're tagging it for Arch. It makes sense. Coach Schottenheimer has one and done written all over him. He's a new coach there. Jerry Jones is a businessman. He's going to get his Don Coelho mentality. Anyway, so that's what he's saying. They're tanking it for Arch Manning, and they're going to make a pitch to Nick Saban. I don't know.
I mean, the thing about it is this. I love Cam Newton. Cam Newton was asked today, would he trade in his MVP for a Super Bowl, and he said no. They said, would you trade it? He said no. I'd rather have my MVP, which I love Cam Newton. But Cam Newton understand the game when it comes to first take. You got to say stuff to make people go, what? Nick Saban is not a yes person. That's why he's not going to be the head coach for Jerry. Jerry Jones don't want coaches that's bigger than him. That's why you get Brian Schottenheimer in. That's why you get, Mike McCartney. That's why Deion Sanders didn't go there. Deion Sanders is big enough to tell Jerry, all right, Jerry, all right, I got it. Nick Saban, he was on the pivot, and he said with Channing and Fred T and Ryan Clark, and he said when he left LSU to go to get the job in Miami, he said somebody asked him, do you want to be Bill Belichick or do you want to be Bear Bryant? He said, I want to be Bear Bryant. That's why he ended up at Alabama, because I think sometimes people can say whatever they want. I don't want to mess up my legacy, man. Because Nick Saban is so good at what he did, people can't wait. He's going to win at Dallas. He's not going to win it all. I don't care what Nick Saban does. He's not going to win it all in Dallas, only because Jerry Jones ain't going to let him go but so far. Jerry Jones got rid of Hall of Fame coaches in the league. Nick Saban's like, look, I respect you, Jerry, but Nick Saban going to tell Jerry Jones, what the hell is you doing? Like, you don't break, it's like, what did Bill Parr say? Something about, listen, if you're going to let me something, at least let me buy the groceries or something like that. Something he said. Jerry Jones, the only reason why Stephen Jones is employed because his daddy employed him. Stephen Jones ain't allowed to talk or do nothing. He just makes sure he's in the picture frame. Every time you see Jerry, love Jerry Jones and what he means to the league, but Deion Sanders was never, ever going to Dallas. Brian Schottenheimer got interviewed by one team.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And I love Marty Schottenheimer. Brian Schottenheimer, I didn't even know Brian Schottenheimer went to Florida. I'm like, he went
he was a Spurrier quarterback.
Oh, man. I said, because at first I was going to talk trash.
No,
then the Florida Gators, I pulled back a little bit.
Coached up a little bit.
Cam Newton, listen, Cam, do me a favor. Give me all your hats for free because I'm not paying for them. I'm not paying for them. Yeah. Stop saying crazy stuff like, even if they do tank for Arch Manning, what is that going to mean? What is it? Bill Belichick.
I think I could coach that team, Loren. You're shaking your head. Let me get to a subject before.
No, I'm shaking my head about Cam Newton, not you coaching the Cowboys.
You can comment. I'm gonna give you a chance, but I want to get this.
Loren, like, boy, what did you talk about?
I want to get Vinny Cincinnati in. We're starting to know more about him. We are led to believe this might fix the defense. It appears to have a positive impact on the team. Starting with Loren, let's talk about that. Is this going to be the answer on defense finally? Because he comes with obviously some breeding, Alabama background, et cetera, et cetera. Let's talk about it. Is Cincinnati the guy, Loren?
Yeah, I think he's the guy to help. I think they figured it out with guys like Chapman, Harris, Roberts, and he just fits. He's another guy that's going to be, from a coaching standpoint, he's a Saban disciple as a player. His dad, Tino Sunseri, is a really good football coach. I was a victim of his younger brother. I can't remember his last name. I think his name might have been Tino or I think Tino was the son.
Tino.
Yeah, he lit us up.
Well, it was his brother. His last name was Cincinnati.
Yeah, but I can't remember the first name, but he lit us up when I was coaching Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Came to Cincinnati and put one on us. So I'm familiar, but yeah, definitely a guy that's going to be, a Saban disciple, going to coach him up right. Safety has been a concern for me on that defense. So yeah, I think
his safety coach.
Yeah, so I think you combine him with Will Harris, Ron Roberts, and the job that Gerald Chapman and Mike Peterson have done with that pass rush. I really like the hire. It's a young guy, good pedigree as a recruiter, and he fits into the Billy Napier tree. Somebody that I think I would assume he was there as a safety when Napier was there coaching receivers, so some familiarity. Yeah, I think it's a great move. I like the hire.
What do you think?
Well, here's what I like. Vinny Cincinnati, when he was at Alabama, he was the headhunter on the back end of their defense. Mm-hmm. And You know, I like the defenses that have a Lawrence Wright back there, or a Reggie Nelson back there, or an Ahmad Black and Major Wright back there. Guys that will strike you and put the fear of God in you if you come across the middle. Will Harris is teaching that same thing He's a guy that teaches kids you're out here, you are to hit them and hurt them, not injure them, hurt them. You got to make somebody feel the pain. If you catch the ball on me, the least I can do is make you wish that maybe I hadn't done that, because I'm going to have to sit in the tub for a week. And this is a guy that teaches kids to strike people.
But you got to be able to run too, because you got to cover those wide receivers. I mean, that's the thing.
Everybody's got to run. Everybody's. Let me put it this way, buddy. Everybody's got to run, and in the SEC, everybody can run. The difference is not everybody can hit somebody.
Well, they got to be able to run like cornerbacks. That's at 4.4 speed. That's difficult to find safety that fast. All right, good stuff. All right, I'm gonna close to this. I'm gonna give any of you a chance to respond to this. It's a feel-good story ending. I just learned about something today from my hero. My hero was growing up as a kid was Stan Musial, who played for the Cardinals. He was such a gentleman. And later on, I got to know him older in life. And he was everything that you'd expect him kinds of being a kind person, a fair person. Here's a book written by George Vesey. This came out today. I read it. It says Stan Musial once joined his high school basketball teammates in threatening to forfeit an important tournament because the hotel restaurant wouldn't seat their black teammate, Buddy Griffey, father of Ken Griffey, in the main dining room. Wow. I mean, that just tells you what the character of a man. I think, you know what? I feel good about my hero right now, a guy who would do that. You know, I don't know if you guys had any stories to share of anything about someone that you held. This is my lifelong hero, a guy that I never knew about him, but the dimensions of the character of this man blow me away. You guys got a story like that?
Well, I'll tell one. When I was in Wilmington, North Carolina, we had a high school baseball coach named Spike Corbin. And Spike Corbin was ready to go down to the International League. He was the hottest thing. They thought this guy was going to might even break the color barrier before there was such a thing in Major League Baseball. They were going to send him down to Havana because Havana had black players, the Sugar Kings, and they were in the AAA International League. And this thing called World War II broke out. And this is a guy that could have been the most bitter human being in the world, because when he came out, they told him he's too old, he's too black, he's too this, he's too that. So he becomes a coach and goes to Wilmington, North Carolina. You ever hear of somebody named Althea Gibson? He never coached tennis, but Spike became her tennis coach there in Wilmington. Ever hear of a guy named Meadowlark Lemon? That was Spike's guy too. He only won 13 state championships there at Williston High School. There in football, one state championships in football, baseball, basketball. Then they integrated, and he goes over to John T. Hoggart High School, won a state championship there also. So he's the guy that at his funeral, all his pallbearers were white kids who had played for him. That told me something.
Nice story. It's a nice story. All right, guys, unless you got another story to tell, we're going to say goodnight for the night. And Loren, look like you're ready to say something. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, obviously, I don't know much about Stan Musial, but obviously, sports, I encourage people to dig deep. Sometimes we look at stories just on the surface, but if you take the time to dig into some of these people, and you'll find some good nuggets to make you feel good about society. And there's a lot of questions about people right now and their thoughts, but Obviously, we got 4 really good guys here that have found a way to whatever differences we have, come to a love of the Gators and love of sports. But I encourage people, there's a lot of sports heroes and people in this world that have those stories, particularly at that time of coming through, in society early in the 20th century and things like that. So that's a good story, buddy. And, let's just continue to do that. But shout out to Stan Musial. That's
I mean,
can I throw one more in there?
Sure.
Back in like 1967, Dean Smith up in the University of North Carolina went to Laurinburg Institute and signed Charlie Scott.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie Scott comes there to Chapel Hill, and and Dean says, "Put on your suit and tie Sunday morning." And Charlie Scott thinks that Dean is going to drive him to a black church and drop him off there. Dean takes him to the Baptist church where he belongs and took him in and sat down, front row, sat down with Charlie Scott. And Charlie Scott says, "Coach, they might lynch us." And Dean says, "No, Charlie, they won't lynch you. They'll lynch me." But we had coaches like that who were so willing, black and white coaches. I mean, my gosh, along the way, who were so willing to say, "Hey, it's what's in your heart that matters to me. It isn't what, our gift wrapping doesn't make a whole lot of difference."
You know what? Bear Bryant wanted to illustrate a long time. He asked the administration numerous times to build a recruiting sign for black players. People think it was the game against USC that made him decide to integrate. No, that wasn't it. That wasn't true. He tried to integrate. And I'm not saying he didn't do wrong and that black players weren't held back because they were. But it was a difficult thing in those days to do something like that. And
he scheduled that game with Southern Cal knowing he was going to get beaten because he knew that might be the only way he was going to force his own administration
could have been
to do it. And I remember when Douglas Adair Dickey went up to Auburn, Alabama, and he tells Don Gaffney, "You're starting."
Mm-hmm.
And that, holy cow.
He's a black quarterback.
Yeah. Like Doug Williams. How long have you been a black quarterback?
Yeah.
All my life.
Hey, Loren said it the best, man. I think sometimes when it comes to quote race relations in this country, a place like football lets you know how big of a myth it is. Like it lets you know because you talking about some of the most different people you ever seen in your life. You talking about some people but I think the thing is, right, we be looking at each other the same because we all got biases, every last one. We all got prejudices, every last one of them. I played with Kyle Vander Bosch my 3rd and 4th year with the Titans. Kyle Vander Bosch played in Nebraska. He's a white dude with a shaved head, and he wore they gave him red contact lenses, right? They gave him red, and to me, right, and we used to have me and Kyle used to have, we went up against each other every day in training camp. We used to have some different type conversations. And sometimes after practice, Kyle Vander Bosch would just come up to me and hug me. He would never say nothing. It's to the point where I'm like, dude, what's wrong with you? He'll just start doing it. And finally, I don't know, when I was there for 4 years, and when I'm leaving, when he realized they're not going to re-sign me, he reaches out to me like, "True, man, I just want to let you know I appreciate you." I said, "Man, it's all good." He said, "No." He kept saying, "No, I appreciate you for more than you know." He never told me what the more than you know was. He said, "Man, I appreciate you, man, for more than," because I think sometimes, the world wants us to see each other a certain way, and they want to do it so bad. But I get to tell people, I said, when people get to ask me, "Man, tell me about Buddy Martin," I said, "Man, take a seat." Because Buddy wanted me to know him. Tell me about Loren. Tell me about Fran's beard. I said, "Man, Fran's used to ask me questions. I just used to say yes sir, no sir." I don't know what the hell I said in between that. Because I'm like, I can't answer these inquisitive type questions from the great Fran's beard. And then I said, "Look, I don't know what it is about them Ohio boys up there, man. But I know a man from Ohio up there in the Ohio area was rooting for them Gators. I don't know what he had to deal with up there, but we happy to have him down here in Gville. So I do agree with Loren, man. If enough people, there was a library in China to where when you walk in the library, instead of having books, they got people. You just walk up to them, they'll tell you about it. If enough of us did this right here, man, please, a lot of stuff would go away. The other day, I'm always talking about trying to do my part. It's a dude, he's stranded in the middle of the road on a hill, and I was going to drive by like most people will. And God is like, oh, that's how you do. That's how we do now. Got out the car. Been a long time since I had to push the car out the road. And by the time I started, listen, I told him, turn it to the right. By the time I started pushing, I see these little hands come up next to me. These little white hands, this little small little white lady pushing. Now between you and me, she ain't doing nothing. She ain't pushing at all. When we got it out the road, she went like this. When we got out the road, she went like this, gave me a high five and said, "All of the day's work," and ran off. To me, she went like this. All of the day's work, you know what I'm saying? So to me, that's who we are, man. And we can show up for each other like that. Hey, man, listen, man, like my dad said, I said, Daddy, this world is bad. He said, no, son, you just looking for the bad. You look for the good, you'll see the good. So, hey, man, let's keep loving each other. We'll see what happens. But we on the same side over here because we root for the boys in orange and blue. If you root for the boys in red and black, I got a problem with you.
Yeah.
Oh, heavens, yeah.
Well, you know what?
I don't like the poodles.
What the great thing about, and I'll end this conversation, great comments by everybody, is that in sports, you can have these great, deep relationships with the unlikeliest of people is that your differences are not an issue. And that's the way sports brings people together that nothing else does. And relationships mean everything. Looking at us four on the screen here tonight, I'm thinking, what a great thing it is to look up and see my friends here in these boxes on a night when it's pretty grim news for people in America. A lot of bad news on a lot of fronts, especially in Washington, D.C., where they lost 64 people in a terrible plane crash, just cast a pall over life. And it's about relationships. Everything is about relationships. Guys, thanks for being my friend and my cohort and my coworker. I appreciate it.
Enjoy it.
Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night. Thank you. See you next week. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. And I want to tell you about also my friends at relationships. Advanced Star Medical Research is such a special group. I like to take an extra minute every night to talk about Advanced Star because of who they are. The Superior Medical Research Facility, and they're run by extraordinary people. And the Sorrentino family, Joe being one of the co-owners, and his son Joey, who was a dentist in town, Ocala, at Marion Dental, and then Mary Brantley, the wife of Scott Brantley, one of the true angels I know, Mary Brantley. They're doing this thing at RenStar. They're doing it in a very high quality way, and they're a gathering of information to get it out to people who need to know these things. As we find out more and more about our health, we need these clinical trials, and they do them there. And that information is then sent off for data so they can then adjust whatever they need to adjust in terms of treatment to a particular kind of sickness or in health, which we know about. And if you go to renstar.net and look it up, you can see the coupon code there. You can find out more about when these are, and if you would be eligible. They would like you to come and take part if you're eligible, because it helps you, it helps them, it helps our community. You can go to renstar.net and sign up for one of the RenStar clinical trials. If you qualify, you can be paid for time and travel. Like I said, it helps you, helps them, and helps our community. So RenStar Medical Research, seeking tomorrow's answers to the health questions of today. Really good show tonight. Appreciate my friends being on tonight. Appreciate the comments, all you as well. We started off on donuts and talked about them and about the Milton Quality Bakery, and we ended up talking about relationships in life. That's a good show. That's a full day. So I'll say thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We're back at you next week right here on the Buddy Martin Show.